Hi, I'm very excited today to be moderating a panel with three extremely distinguished panelists. So I want to start with introducing myself first. My name is Ravi Pograju, and I'm the principal analyst in Ecosystem, and we are a research and consulting organization that does a lot of work on future of work, business agility, capability, and really, we're trying to pull things together from all three domains in what we call the future of work. So, workplaces, individuals, which is people, as well as capability of the business. So, that's really what we do. I'm really excited to be hosting and moderating this panel today with three very distinguished individuals that come from very different perspectives. And I'm really thrilled because we can really pull different lenses on what future of work looks like in the digital arena. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce three of them one by one. I'll start with Candice. Candice Ong is the Chief Commercial Officer at ShopBack. ShopBack is a one-stop rewards and discovery platform, and where the users can shop as well as earn cashback while they're doing that. She is part of the core leadership team, and she runs regional marketing for them, and she's responsible to grow the business in Singapore, Malaysia, Philippines, and Thailand. Welcome, Candice. It's great to have you with us today. Next, we've got Dr. Santi. Santi is the Group Chief Economist and member of the senior management team at C. For many of us, we know C through the work that they do and the apps like Shopee. They also have Garena, which is a global online games developer and publisher, and they also have C Money, which is a digital payments platform. So fantastic to have you as well with us, Dr. Santi, and great to hear from you in a bit. And last but not the least, we've got Federico. Federico oversees all aspects of the Globant's business in Europe, Middle East, and Asia. Globant is very bullish in these areas, and so I'm really excited to hear what he has to bring and what he sees, just not just in Asia, but also from the other parts of the world. He was managing director for the US East Coast region based out of New York before this, and he really led Globant's vision and value propositions for financial services. So welcome, Federico. And really excited, guys, to have you all here. And I'm hoping we're going to have a fantastic discussion. I'll start with an easy question, which is probably going to be very interesting for many of our listeners today and people who are tuning in. From your own perspective, what is that one big shift that you are seeing in the future of work? So maybe I could start by inviting Candice, then followed by Dr. Santi, and then Federico, and back to me. So Candice, over to you. Talk to us.
Thanks, Ravi, for the introduction. I think one big shift that I would like to point out, we're already seeing some effects of this, is that work is likely to be much less repetitive and there's stronger reliance on automation. I think in these days, information is much more widely available. Tools are also made more accessible to the everyday person, right? So I think this enables workers as well to have better opportunities to tackle a range of different problems. So thereby, in terms of skill sets and work, there probably is higher expectations for workers to have broader range of what they're able to do. I'll give the example of perhaps even just graphic designers. I think perhaps years ago, graphic designers are expected to be the creative force in different companies and produce images. Nowadays, for graphic designers, perhaps they're also involved in video production, even sometimes sound production. And in terms of being able to understand what images work better or what videos work better, they're also expected to dabble in some analytics to make better decisions. So I think the future of work, workers perhaps are expected to have broader range on what they're able to do as repetitive work is more automated. So I think that's good for abilities for us to be able to solve tougher problems that requires better judgment as well.
Fantastic. I like that. I think it's really about that shift that we're seeing from not just saying, I'm good at one thing and I will do more of that. It's really about I can do a lot more and throw whatever you can throw at me, and I'll try and figure a way out of this. Fantastic. Dr. Santi, what's your take on it?
Thank you, Ravi. Yeah, I very much agree with Candice. I think one aspect that I want to highlight is probably the integration of technology into the way
Mm,
you work. And most clearly, the digitalization. We did a research in collaboration with the World Economic Forum and to see the impact of COVID. And one of the key themes that we found, surveying the youth, over 70,000 youth in ASEAN, Southeast Asia, aged from 16 to 35, is that the digitalization took a massive leap. 87% of the youth say that they have increased at least one usage of one digital tools, and about 42% say that they use something that they never used before in their lives. So actually learn and deepening engagement with the digital tools as well. And one of the very clear example, especially for me, and people want some of us living in Singapore, is the use of virtual meeting tools. That's very strong. But 70% of youth saying that they use that in virtual meetings tool more than before. And interestingly, Ravi, 70% of that say that they believe this increase will be permanent. So this is not just something that they do during the pandemic, but I think it's going to actually create a new normal in the way they work going forward. And that's consistent with other evidence we see from the survey as well, which says that they, I think 2/3 saying that now they don't know why they had to travel so much in the past in order to meet people, why they had to go to the ALS conference, sometimes go so far just to give half an hour speech. Now it's much easier to do everything in the comfort of their own home. But that said, there are also individuals and youth within the region whose, where internet connection may not be as great,
mhm.
also complain and say that, well, actually work from home doesn't really work out for them too well. So I think in the future, you're not going to really have this full remote work as well. I think there's going to be more a hybrid approach where some human touch is still required, but some remote and digital tools will be brought in to sort of mix and match. So I think that's one of the key things I see.
Fantastic. I really like the way that you built from where Candice left off. So she talked about the humans and the way that skills are evolving and that work is going to become non-repetitive. You're building now the tech element on top and saying there are going to be multiple tech tools, and a lot of us would have to get comfortable with using virtual ways of working, tech, different tools, and also different sort of work arrangements. And the hybrid is here probably to stay. What form and shape it takes or how it evolves is something that's going to be interesting. Federico, what are you seeing from your part of the world?
So thank you, Ravi. It's very interesting what Candice and Santi are talking about, and I completely agree. So I think this question is twofold, right? So definitely there's a big shift on how we use technology to augment our capabilities as human beings, right? So AI is allowing us to do things that we were never been able to do before.
Mm-hmm.
And the companies that are not taking advantage of that augmentation are not going to be with us for a long time, right? So just to give you a quick example, at Globant, we use AI to massively improve the way we create software, right? We give tools to developers to create software more rapidly, and also how we bring people to our company. Because at the end of the day, in this virtual world, knowing somebody, when you go to an interview and you have two candidates and both of them answer the questions fine, but one of them is you gut feeling this is the one versus the
Mm-hmm.
other.
Mm-hmm.
How you do that virtually is very different to what it used to be in person. So how you use technology, AI, sentiment analysis to better understand what is a top player in your company. And the other part that is super interesting, it's the future talent, right? Organizations are made of talent. So what is the future of the talent? And we know that talent today has very different expectations they used to have in the past, and the Zoom is not enough to create these digital emotional connections and experiences that are needed for deepen the sense of purpose and team building on today's world. So companies also need to have this nervous system on how the culture behaves within the company to understand the team's motivations and connectivity between team players and team members, and be able to take and leverage that for the future of the company.
Fantastic. Wow, I knew this is going to be an exciting panel, but you guys are really, did you guys rehearse before? You're just going one on top of the other. This is fantastic. So Candice starts with saying we need different skills. Santi comes in and says you also have a tech layer and we all need to think about tech. And now you're coming on top and saying it's not just tech and people, it's also about how you're integrating that to create augmentation. So it's not just pure automation or being able to deal with automation. It's also about how are you making it work together. So the centricity around humans and the way that humans are going to be orchestrating all of this together to make it successful in the marketplace is going to be very, very key. Fantastic, guys. I love the input. Fantastic. Let's switch a little bit and go back to where Candice started. And I want to go dig a little bit deeper around that. And I want to ask each of you what you think are probably that one key skill that we should be picking up on that would help us be more successful in this future of ours. So maybe we do the same round again. Candice, you want to go first, please?
Sure.
Answer.
I think it's quite linked to the previous point I made, or rather what I think is one key skills for the future. And in fact, the World Economic Forum published that this is one of the top skills for 2025, which is the ability to learn and develop active learning strategies. And this skill set was actually absent in previous reports as well. I think it's just so important as the world changes that we're able to constantly learn and sometimes unlearn as well. And honing learning agility is just incredibly key. I think a lot of the jobs or a lot of the contexts and tools are new these days. And to keep up with times, it will just be incredibly important for workers to be able to adopt these new tools to be relevant to new times. I think one new development really in 2008 is the start of the app stores. Right, the app business is a huge one these days, and to think that this only really just started, the app stores just started in 2008, is pretty remarkable. And that just shows how much, I guess, us as workers, we really need to learn what is developing the business worlds to be incredibly important. Yeah, so I would pick the ability to learn and honing learning agility to be one of the top skills in the future.
I agree with you. I think the rate and the different elements that are changing so fast, I think it's really crucial that all of us always remain open to picking up new things. And we need to do that probably at a pace which is far less what we are used to doing in the past. So fantastic. Great start, Candice, to kick that off. Santi, your bills on top?
Yeah, definitely. First of all, I really agree with Candice. That's one of the key skills. So now I'm trying to think of something different. But no, I'm going to cheat on this slightly. I'm going to say that one of the things that I think really, really important is the entrepreneurial mindset. And I think that really consists of 4 kind of sub skills that's under that. And one is resilient, one is growth mindset, creativity, and leadership. Let me just explain that a little bit. And this is what we found, working through with Shopee with millions of entrepreneurs on a daily basis, especially during difficult times, that the traits of successful entrepreneurs really have these 4 things. Resilience is there, given the ability for them to bounce back after they face shocks. Growth mindset take it a bit further so that they don't just bounce back and be the same, but they actually can be better than before. They can actually take risks and try new things and keep learning, relating to what Candice said as well. Creativity is to allow them to not just try new things, but to actually go outside, stretch their thinking and go outside the comfort zone and come up with something new and innovative in that business. And lastly, leadership is really crucial because you can't just do all this alone. Leadership allows people to really share your mission and really go and improve and learn together as a team. So I think, we really see that when the entrepreneurs have all these 4 traits together, they tend to do better. We have seen this in, for example, from my hometown, Thailand, a student who cannot go to universities because of the circuit breakers, instead of just sitting around, decided to help her mother do business, inject, her knowledge of digital and online e-commerce to help transform the business, go and learn online how to do digital marketing, live streaming effectively, and then help really build the business with her mother. And that's really illustrate all these 4 traits and how to be successful. And last but not least, though, this, although is called entrepreneurial mindset, is by no means limited to entrepreneurs or business owners. Anyone can have it in whatever profession.
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic one. I think you're so right to say that the four pieces are almost working in sync, and they sort of build on each other and they fuel each other. Resilience is probably one of the first ones, and you're right. And I think it's really about just taking stuff as it comes by the horns and trying to find a way to pivot to a much more different space. And I think that's probably one of the key things that a lot of businesses, even employees, as parents, and even as people who are working, we need to do that on an ongoing basis, which sort of circles back to what Candice said around learning agility. So it's fantastic. Right, Federico.
Yes. So again, I'm trying to build up on top of what Candice and Santi are doing and saying, but there's not too many things that I can add. But the reality is that talent is no longer expecting themselves to specialize on anything in particular, because technologies, business models are changing so rapidly that you no longer have this person that has been doing the same thing for 10 years and is an expert on what they're doing. So what I think is one of the skills that will be extremely important for the future is develop further your social intelligence and working in what this concept of the collective intelligence model. So the intelligence overall resides on the team and not in the person or individual contributor. So building that social intelligence is going to be a key skill for the future, where we don't have many specialized people and talent, but a group of people that know about how to move forward a business, how to move forward an idea. And also it's extremely important, like Santi was mentioning, how you create within that group the sense of entrepreneurship, autonomy for making decisions, and run with those decisions, because at the end of the day, they're gonna be the ones in charge of moving the company and the ideas forward. So for me, it's that capability to become more social intelligence and work in a collective intelligence model.
It's fantastic. I agree with you. I think this is really going to be very interesting to watch, because as a collective, we probably have everything that we need and more to solve. But if we try and lock it in different spaces and boxes and roles and constructs, you can't maximize that. And it actually it goes a little bit just beyond the enterprise as well. It also looks at, and I like the way that you use the word social, because the enterprise is becoming more social. The partnerships outside the enterprise are more social. The government partnerships are social. This is all a large ecosystem. And I think people who can work the ecosystem and the talents within it and empower them to release it, which are probably going to be the key to that future. So I think it's come to a place where we've naturally evolved to a space where we need to do that to make that happen, because we can't look back and fall back on what we knew. We have to create it. And I think that's going back to what Santi was saying. We need to create it. We need to pivot. And for that, we need to learn continuously. So back to Candice again. So I love that. So I really like the way that it's sort of evolving now. Being conscious of time, I do want to get one more nugget of advice from you guys before we can sort of summarize it. So if there was one thing that you would ask the employees or people that are listening to us or tuning in to us or leaders, what would you give them as one nugget of advice that can make them hugely successful in this future of work? So, Candice,
I guess, sure. I think one advice that I would give, and I'll give myself that same advice, 10 years ago, would be to take greater ownership of one's career and path, right? I think in terms of reliance on a maybe education system or a current organization might not be sufficient. And I would say to take greater ownership of what skills you want to develop or what moves might be happening around the industry, that responsibility upon self would probably be greater in the future. And to tap on what Dr. Santi has mentioned with respect to virtual meetings, I think this, similar in that vein, global competition is going to be more globalized. Right. So in terms of getting greater ownership and understanding the movements of what is important in the future, I think that's going to be very important for self.
Brilliant. I like that. I like that. Great advice. Thank you for doing that. Santi.
Yeah. My key advice would be humble. And this is one of our core values at C as well. And the most important one, in fact. And I think it's going to be particularly important in the world of uncertainty we face and navigate this future of work. You think about it, humility is really at the core of many of entrepreneurial mindset and core skills that I talked about just now. It allows you to cope better with failure. It allows you to learn better. It allows you to listen to different opinions, benefit from diversity, from the social learning, collective intelligence Federico was talking about. And it allows you to really bring all your teammates with you and understand your customer better, which is always evolving. So it's really the start of everything. And I think that humility is something you have to keep in mind, but I think something that you also have to practice. And sometimes the best way to practice this is to actually be in a very diverse environment. Sometimes go to a place, whether it's a cultural background, whether people from different fields from you. And that's, of course, I think if you are employers, I think that's where, organization you want to build is to have the diversity so that you really help people to stay grounded and be humble.
Fantastic. I like that a lot. Federico?
Of course. In this case, I would be a bit different than my co-panelist. I think that today, what you need to be thinking and doing to prepare for the future is to start today to augment your organization with technology. Right? We discussed this. So if you are a leader in an organization and wants to think about what is this organization be in the future, we know for sure that the future is the merge between humans and machines and how we augment our capabilities. So if you you need to review the things that constitute you as a company. What services are you providing? What products are you building? What is the talent that you bring in to your company? And use technology to augment all those processes. Not only one, not only two, but the entire end-to-end process. Use technology, use AI, use data to do it better. Because I think the future is going to be driven by this. And as the organizations keep accelerating revenues and growth and so on and so forth, there's no time for companies to sit behind and be the second the second to the market. So I think that would be my advice for what is the future of work and the future of organizations.
Fantastic. Thank you for bringing that back in. I think it's important not to forget that the business models and the disruptions are happening partially due to the way that we are working, but also partially due to the evolution of the computing models, the evolution of data and analytics and AI engines and neural networks. So I think it's fantastic to sort of bring that back in as a perspective. So while there is a behavioral and there is a human element to it, we should not forget the second element, which is the augmentation that is going to happen over a period of time. So it's brilliant. So I think this has been fantastic. I loved it. Before we sort of summarize and close, any one round of final thoughts that you would like to leave our viewers with? If there was one thing that you would like them to take away, what would you like to take away based on all that you've heard from all of us? So, Candice, your summary of today.
I hope I leave viewers feeling optimistic about the future of work.
Right.
I think with respect to augmentation by tools, as what Mr. Federico mentioned, using technology that really enables us to do more creative tasks. I think this really enables human beings to do more. And I think we should remain optimistic that we are more empowered in the future.
Brilliant. Dr. Santi.
I'm going to leave you with this quote that I really like, that the change has never been this fast before, and it will never be this slow again. It's really alluding to the word of exponential speed of change, which on one hand, it may seem scary, but I'll try to be like Candice and leave on a positive note, because if you look at on a positive side, it also means that even if you are slow to start with, or you miss some trends, there's always a chance to catch up, because the next train is potentially going to be faster than that last train.
Brilliant. I like the fact that you're never going to miss out if you just keep learning. Fantastic. Federico.
Yeah, and in my case, it would be brave. You know, there hasn't been a point in history where change was happening so fast, but at the same time, we could do so many things so fast, so failing fast, and rebounding and doing something different. I think the future of work is all going to be about trying new things, experimenting, building, bringing people together, to do amazing things, for the world, for the sustainability of the place where all live. And I think that technology is only going to help us become better as human beings.
Fantastic. So I would like to, first of all, thank the esteemed panelists. I think you guys were as brilliant as I anticipated and more. I really like that you brought in your perspectives, which are so key to creating this mosaic of knowledge that we wanted to do and bring forth to our viewers. I'm going to go back and do a quick summary. So we started by saying that there are a number of different skills that are going to become relevant, because the kind of work that we do is going to transform over a period of time. There's going to be skills and capabilities that we need to think about. We need to think about how tech and the layer of tech changes what we do. And then we also need to think about how do we augment these two things to create a more holistic experience, not just for our employees, but also for our customers. Then there is the piece around what does it mean and how can we be more successful in this space. And there we talked about being able to learn continuously, having a growth mindset, being resilient and being able to pivot, and also not forgetting that all of this exists within a social space. These are social ecosystems which need to be orchestrated. And we all have a part to play to not just grow and pivot and become better, but also bring everybody along with us on this journey and make it more successful. And in the end, we spoke a little bit about what we could do as individuals or companies to be better or to be successful. So there is the piece around not forgetting that it's going to be an augmented reality. It's going to be a hybrid workforce. It's going to need a lot of us to revisit some of our beliefs and experiences. We need to be humble in this space and take ownership to not just lead others, but also lead ourselves in this future. And as you guys have very rightly pointed out, we need to be brave. I like that a lot. I like the fact that we need to be fast and not just keep looking in the rear view, drive with the future in mind, look forward. And it's all very optimistic, because we will be super successful in the way that we are if we keep all of this in mind. So thank you, guys. I have had a blast with you. It was fantastic to see the way that you sort of brought these perspectives. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to host this with you, and I look forward to being in touch again.
Thank you, Ravi.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
All right.